We're sitting down with Joshua Schmidt, winner of YCS Madrid and one of the most successful Yu-Gi-Oh players in Europe. Joshua, welcome to the table here in the feature match area. Usually you're sitting over there behind the camera.
Yep, that's right.
How does it feel for you to come to London and you're the winner of the latest event? Is it like extra pressure for you?
Not really. It's kind of nice actually, because I've come to these events always with the feeling of not having won one yet, and so it's kind of actually taking pressure away from me this time, because like I've been trying to win one so long and worked, and so yeah.
I know for a fact that in the German community they even had a joke which was playing with the fact that you haven't won one yet. Yeah. So it's kind of a running gag, and now you've crushed it.
It was a running gag.
It was a running gag. Who do they put in the joke now?
I don't know.
They have to come up with someone.
Yeah, they have to find someone.
All right, we're going to tell that joke at some point, but not now. Okay, so let's get back to Madrid.
Okay.
You going to the tournament as always. It was a slightly smaller turnout compared to the events before. Is that something that you consider when you sign up for the event? You're like, my chances are better, or are they worse?
It's obviously, it was a little bit easier to top the event because it was only 9 rounds. But I feel like in all these European big events, we always have the great names are always there. So
exactly,
it's not really that the quality of the field is any lower.
All right.
It's just we have 9 rounds instead of 10 or 11. So actually the chance of meeting a better player in Swiss rounds might be higher. So yeah,
it balances out?
It balances, yeah.
Okay. So how did the tournament start for you? Like, did you have some early victories and feel like, okay, I can do this?
Day 1 was pretty swift, actually. Like, I started out, we had 7 rounds, I think, and I started out 6-0. And then the last round of day 1, I lost to Zatella Knight deck, which was kind of unfortunate. Like, I won game 1, game 2, he beat me in game 3. I had a really unfortunate hand, so nothing I could do there. So I didn't feel too bad about that loss.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I went X1. Pretty good day 1 result.
Right. So you're always traveling to the events with a lot of your friends, and you're testing together and preparing together. So what happens in the evenings? Are you comparing scores? Everybody's like, hey, I went 6-1, I went 7-0.
Yeah, obviously. Like that's one of the things about the game that makes it worth playing so much, because traveling alone wouldn't be as fun. So after events, we all go out, we eat, we drink, we do stuff like that, and that's part of it.
All right. Yeah. Cool. So the next day, you're sitting in a pretty good position with a 6-1 record, and you said earlier you just have to win one more. That's
one
like
more.
What you think in your head at that point, right?
Like X2 is guaranteed to make top cut, so winning 1 out of 2 rounds should not be too hard usually. Yeah. So yeah, I go into day 2 pretty confident that I can do it, and I win the first round, feature match as well. Right. So yeah,
a pretty good feature match, by the way.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so now you made the top cut. Again, happened a few times before. Is that the point in time where you're like, okay, that's whatever happens, I've made the tops, so I'm good, or do you always feel like, now I want to go all the way, or I want to make it to the top 8, so I'm in the top 8 profiles on the written coverage?
It's kind of like both. Like I've been there, so I'm not as excited as I was at the first time, but I still hadn't won one yet, so. I want to go the whole way. Okay. So yeah, I went there with the. Obviously, I'm always excited when I make top cut. Like, it was the 14th time, but it was still very exciting. 14th time, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. So looking at the top 32 deck list that we had, there was a lot of Shadow in that tournament. Did you feel that you had the best version of Shadow?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Right away. Yes. Because we had a lot of discussions at that event. We're talking about should you run 1 copy of super polymerization or 3 copies even? And I think, if I remember correctly, you didn't run a single one.
Not in the main deck, no.
Not in the main.
But the thing is, with the list that I or me and my friends played, we were 5 people playing the deck, and we ended up like only having 1 or 2 cards difference at max, and we ended up making 36th and 38th place. That was our lowest results. Okay. We had Eugen making 3rd, and we had Robin making top 16, losing to Eugen, and then we had me making 1st place. So that was a pretty good result for our deck list, and yeah, I was very confident with this deck.
Interesting, interesting. How did you end up with the choice? Did you say super polymerization can be a dead card in certain scenarios?
It's not only that, it was also that in the Shadow Mirror match, it is a very good card, a very game-breaking card. but it can be not what you want to have because it actually costs you a lot of resources to play the card.
Yep.
And it also, like, Shaddolls obviously have graveyard effects, so if you take away two opponents' Shaddolls, they get their graveyard effects usually. They get back their own fusion if you fuse a fusion monster from them,
Yes.
and so on. And it also sometimes ends up being, if you draw a super polymerization before you draw a Shadow fusion, you might not actually have a fusion in your graveyard that you can take back when your fusion monster.
Okay.
So it might actually not be that great of an advantage. It is a very good late game card, which is why I cited 2 copies for all the mirror matches.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was
Interesting. Okay. Well, it certainly seems like you were prepared, but I want to ask about that in just a second. How did it feel for you to finally have that win? I mean,
it was amazing.
It was amazing. It was like a huge weight.
Relief, yeah, it was a relief.
Okay. So, well, I'm very glad that you finally won one.
Thank you.
You said you prepared together. So walk us through the process if I want to win a YCS.
Okay, so first of all, we were obviously looking at all the different decks. We had like Burning Abyss, Satellar Knights, Shaddolls, and Shaddolls seemed to be the best engine overall. So we decided, okay, we want to play Shaddolls, and Shaddolls need a light engine to work with. And so we looked at the different light engines. What is there? There is Light Sworns, there is artifacts, there is like you can just play the dragons, the Collar Serpent and the Wyvern Buster.
Right.
And I felt like since Shaddol, in my eyes, is a very good control deck with all the flip effects, like my version definitely was the slowest version of Shaddolls in Top Cut, I think. Even though in the finals I had a pretty strong hand game 1, but usually it was a very, very slow version of Shaddolls.
You won in turn 2.
Second turn, yeah. I had the best hand possible, pretty much. But in general, you want to play a game where you set your monsters a lot to get your flip effects off for the maximum advantage in the long run. You get the more flip effects you get off, the better you are.
All right.
In the mirror match especially. And it seemed like Artifacts was definitely the best version for it because it stopped the opponent from going too fast for you. As soon as he put something on the board, you just flip the Sanctum, you summon a Moral Attack. And also what made me benefit from having the Moral Attacks in my deck is usually when you play Artifacts, you have a risk of drawing the Moral Attacks.
Yes.
But in Shaddolls, you just fuse them.
Ah, okay. Well, like you said, there was a lot of thought going into this. All right. So we can, of course, expect you to be prepared this weekend once again.
I hope so.
What deck are you playing this weekend, if I may
Shaddol
ask?
Artifacts.
Shaddol.
I tweaked it a little bit toward the new Banned list, 2 meta, new tech cards, but Shaddol Artifacts.
So what does the new list change? Is it tougher for you to win against some of the other decks, like Satellar Knights or Burning Abyss?
It changed a little bit. The main decks didn't really change with the list, but they changed throughout time because the format changes a little bit when new decks come up.
Sure.
And so I think the new Burning Abyss deck, how they play it now with Vanity's Fiend and stuff, is a little bit tougher to deal with, for Shaddolls especially, which is why they play it that way now. Yeah. But I hope to be prepared for that as well.
All right. Well, we're going to see tomorrow. I'm certain of that. So what else? How do you like? You said that you're going out in the evenings together as a group and you're enjoying the place that you're going to. Is it one of the things about London where you're like really excited to visit the British capital?
Well, I have been here last year as well, but it was pretty nice. We have visited quite a few places like Big Ben, Piccadilly Circus, stuff like that. It was quite nice.
Right.
And maybe this time we'll catch some places we haven't seen last time.
I think there are lots of sites in London, so you can.
I don't think we have seen.
I
don't think we've seen enough last time.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's all we got for the time being. Thank you very much for being here.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Congratulations again for your win in Madrid. Yes. And we're looking forward to seeing you in action tomorrow.